Hello, Tara. Welcome to the Sunseeker podcast. I'll start with Sri Matri Namaha.
Shri Bhatre Namaha.
Thank you so much for joining me. The Sunseeker podcast is a consciousness expansion, mental health, wellness, and spirituality podcast. And I thought there would be no better guest to have than you. I mean, you're a spiritual life coach, a workshop facilitator, speaker, a chakra dance facilitator, and just an overall really eclectic individual. And I think that it's really an honor for me to have you on to have this conversation and for our listeners to learn a little bit from you and your experience and your walk in life. So I'll just start with asking a little bit about where the origins of your spiritual journey began.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And that is a wonderful question. Actually, I'd never really thought about that until you asked the question. And when you think of a spiritual journey, for me, I think it was just listening to the messages that I was getting. Consciously, it happened in 1994 when a spiritual master came into Winnipeg and he was promoting the Encyclopedia of Hinduism. Um, and we were doing a havan, um, which is, what's a havan? It's a fire ceremony, a fire ritual. And while we were doing this fire ritual, I got the message that I should be vegetarian. Now, at that point, I wasn't vegetarian, I ate everything. But I also recognized that it wasn't me thinking, because I definitely didn't want to be vegetarian. It was me getting a message. And I listened to that message. And I went vegetarian. Actually, I went vegetarian until 2006, 19, no, 2021 was when I went back to eating fish again by listening to the messages. So yeah, it's really listening. We as human beings are so busy doing and thinking that we don't ever think about listening and being, just being. And that is really what got the ball rolling really quickly. From that was 1994. And then from that in 2001, again, got the message that I should go to India. I was working full time and but I had this vision of being at the foothills of the Himalayas on the banks of Ma Ganga. I could smell her. I could feel her. I could hear her waters flowing. And I'm sitting in Winnipeg in April of 2001, and this is happening to me. And I told my husband, I said, I have to go to India. And he said, when? I said, in the fall. And he said, why? I said, I don't know. And he said, well, how are we going to do this? I said, it'll happen. And lo and behold, in October of 2001, I found the money and I got the time, 3 months off work. I was the only individual who got a non-medical leave to take off work for 3 months to go to India. And it just continued. It's that listening. I could tell you stories upon stories, that got me from where I was to where I am today. And I continue to listen. So
Wow.
it's all about listening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely. I think when you're speaking about listening, this podcast, for me personally, I was doing a meditation that you are like aware of on the heart center. And then I just kept having, visions of doing this podcast, and I couldn't really explain, you know, really what it was, but it kept reoccurring and reoccurring. And then I believe we spoke and you spoke to me about this, and then kind of really helped one, remove the fear, and then plant an intention towards, being of service through this platform. So, how important is setting an intention just for when it comes to manifesting, or when it comes to being a better partner or a better human being, all of that?
How important is intention? Intention is key. And I have a signature system that I teach individuals that, whether I'm coaching or just mentoring, it's about not only the intention, but having a connection. So it's called connection to transformation. Um, so when we connect, like when you're doing your meditation, I'm going to use you as an example. You're doing your meditation and you heard this message or you saw visually that you're to do this podcast, right? So you're getting the message to do the podcast. But if you didn't set the intention to make it happen, it'd just be out there without any energy. It'll just be there, right? But you set the intention. So first you have to connect. And who are you connecting with? You're connecting to your higher self. So many of us think about connecting to an entity out there. We may need to do that initially to connect to that intent in that identity out there. But after a while, you realize as you continue connecting that you're really connecting to your higher self or your divine self. And you then become a partner with your divine self that helps you to set the intention and then pay attention to your intention. Because, yes, you could set the intention, but if you don't put the work towards it, you don't um, pay attention to your intention, it's not going to happen. It'll simply be an intention. But you put that goal, you put that work towards it, you do the work that needs to be done. And when things go well, you give credit to all those that helped you. So you really appreciate whatever manifests. I call it the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever manifests. And when things don't go so well, you reflect on it and say, okay, what was it about that situation that didn't turn out the way I wanted it? Because maybe sometimes the way you wanted it isn't the way it's supposed to be. And there's where you have to listen. If that keeps coming up again, ah, that's what it's supposed to do. And there is where you really do the learning. When you listen, you really do that internal learning. And there's where the transformation happens. So it's connection, intention, attention, paying attention to your intention, and then appreciate all the manifestations. And as you continue doing that, first day by day and then moment by moment, transformation happens. You don't have to do any work on the transformation. It just happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so
So that's how
crazy.
important intention is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so crazy how it happens, and it's just kind of like putting it out there, and then your higher self start to kind of work with you. If you
Mm-hmm.
could, yeah, if you could talk about some of the technology that is yoga, I think that part of just my journey into the Thousand Sons Academy and doing a number of work, whether it has been Kundalini work, also Kriya Yoga and breath work. How important, if you could, I guess, explain a little bit of that technology when it comes to breath work and how that helps connect with your higher self.
Mm. It's interesting that you brought up Kriya Yoga. I go back, I love storytelling. So I go back again
Great.
to one of those stories that my mom and dad and my sister, we were on for my sister's birthday, went to India and we were visiting Varanasi and we met the manager of the area. He took us to Lahiri Mahasya ancestral home. And he could only speak Hindi. My mom and dad spoke Hindi, so the two of them, or the three of them, were having a conversation in Hindi, and I don't understand Hindi. I use their Hindi conversation to go into meditation.
Mm,
And in that meditation, I was told to study Kriya Yoga. At that
mm,
point, I knew nothing. I didn't even know Kriya Yoga existed.
wow.
But I had the most wonderful meditation, and it said I should study Kriya Yoga. I knew nothing about chakras, and I'm saying, okay, what is Kriya Yoga? So I went back to the ashram where we were staying at, Paramatniketan Ashram in Rishikesh, and I spoke with the yoga director there, and I asked her, what is Kriya Yoga? And I'd like to do some work around my chakras. And she said, Kriya Yoga is a way of awakening the chakras and healing the body. Let's do a Kriya Yoga program. So she put together a Kriya Yoga program. It was the first program, 2006, that we did at Paramatniketan Ashram. And that was my first exposure to Kriya Yoga. We studied, of course, all of the breath work and the mudras and the holding of the breath, the retention and the letting go of the breath. And all the way from, the Muladhara to the Sahasrara chakra. We did the Kechari and the Jyoti Mudra. And it was so wonderful because it helped me with my heart rate, with my just calming down. But most important is as I continued to practice Kriya Yoga, I used to have problems breathing. I would spend 6 months of the year breathing, like having blocked sinuses. And once I started doing the Kriya Yoga on a regular basis, I have been able to breathe through my nostrils. I haven't had to use my medication for 5, 6 years now. So it takes a few minutes. It takes 15 minutes every day to do your Kriya Yoga, which really helps you to bring in that prana, that life force through your breath, circulated through your body to heal your body. And one of the things I'm working on right now is when I heal myself, the world heals. So, how important is it? First, personally, selfishly, to heal myself, but then selflessly, in my healing, the world around me heals. So I don't care whether you want to be selfish or just care about healing yourself, or you want to heal the world, heal yourself, and the world heals. And you can use Kriya Yoga. Oh, any of the yogas, not only Kriya Yoga. You could use any of the yogas. Um, this morning I was invited to a Shakta yoga, all about Shakti and doing Shakti yoga to heal yourself, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Wow. I think, well, just something that I thought about when you were speaking about that is that when they have the announcement on planes, when it comes to the mask, about, putting your mask on and then the person next to you, it's almost like with this breathing and this technology of yoga, taking care of yourself and your well being, and then through becoming that light, it kind of, in and of itself, almost starts to help other people, whether that's just being a kinder person or someone becomes interested in this kind of work. Um,
that
yeah,
is so true. We do the work and we change our vibration, we change our energy, that even those who are not looking for it will see it. And again, I
mhm,
use myself as an example. I was doing a workshop 20, 30 years ago on racism and discrimination and systemic discrimination in Canada. And the director of the organization asked me at lunchtime, how do you carry yourself so peacefully? Now, I definitely wasn't talking about peace,
mm,
you know. And she said, how do you carry yourself so peacefully? At that time, I wasn't consciously aware that I had a peaceful aura around me, but I was doing the work. I would get up every morning and do my spiritual practice. I did my yoga. At that time, I had just started doing the Kriya Yoga. Like within, I would say, months of doing the Kriya Yoga. And she felt that difference. So when we do the work for ourselves, whatever it is, whether it is taking 3 deep breaths in the morning and setting an intention to carry the energy of kindness, like you talked about, if that is all you have time to do, you do that. And then you remind yourself during the day that today I am going to be kind, no matter what happens in front of you, no matter what the world throws at you. Respond with kindness. The transformation happens and other people see it and they pick up on it. And then the ripple effect happens
yeah,
and it
that's
impacts those around you.
yeah, that's great. That's so great. Just I think something that I wanted to talk about was kind of bridging this gap a little bit between, I think that everybody seems to be seeking, this peace of mind, and whether they know it or not, that they are seeking this peace of mind. I see it from people that are younger than me, on spiritual TikTok, um, the platform of YouTube, with millennials looking through biohacking and all these different things. And I think that when it comes to people like yourself with all of this, you know, knowledge and light and energy, just I think that the more that we can get the information that people like you share to these younger people, it could be really helpful. Reason being, just I've been in the I work in the recovery space for addicts and alcoholics, and there's a fentanyl crisis, there's a suicide crisis, and if it's not suicide, there's a number of kids who talk about passive suicidality, and there's a depression crisis. And this a lot of this has to, there's politicians can come up with solutions, but I feel like that almost the younger people have lost faith, even within that, to be the solution. and the solution has to start within yourself. But
Mhm.
I think that so how would you say I think a couple of things that I've heard you speak about before is self-talk and self-image. So how can, we help younger people with their self-talk, and then through that hopefully their self-image?
A simple way that has just come in is when you hear people talking about themselves, and if they are putting themselves down, just repeat to them a better way of saying it. If you're having that conversation one on one, I'm not talking about doing a workshop on self talk. I do, that's some of the things that I do in my coaching is I will, if someone is putting themselves down or using the word, not, or you put, or really feeling that fear, I help them to overcome that and see challenges as an opportunity for learning. So we can do this consciously on a day to day basis as we are communicating with individuals, regardless of what we're doing. Whether you're working with these individuals who are depressed with the mental health, um, you can help them to change their talk, what they're saying, not by telling them don't do it, but just you repeating what they're saying, but in a positive way, saying it the way that they should be saying, and ask them, how does that sound? How does that sound to you? Is this what you're really wanting to say? And that helps them to do it. You could do it as, in conversations like we're doing today, having those conversations as well. You can do it in that manner. But it's really first for us to catch it is to do the work within ourselves. Because all of us are guilty of putting ourselves down, saying, I'm so stupid, or whatever it is that we say to put ourselves down, right? And it's reminding us that we need to change that talk because whatever we think, we speak. And whatever we speak is manifested in the world. And there is where visualization comes in. Like you visualize this podcast, you had to speak about it in a positive way. You had to think about it, get rid of the fear, to think about it that it is possible. And yes, there's going to be challenges, but I will be given the resources I need to overcome those challenges. So there is a trust and there is a faith in yourself, both I like to call it the human doing self, the human thinking self, as well as the human being, the being that we are, that higher self. There's the partnership. And then you get the ideas or the resources come to you. Just think about your own journey from being fearful of putting together this podcast. And it's happening. And the people that I've seen that you're working with, wow.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'm so proud of you, Christian, for,
Thank you.
the work that you're doing and the opportunities that you're giving to these young people to think differently. They think differently, their speech is going to be different, and the world around us will be different. And today we need this. We definitely need it.
Yeah, so
So, hey, so proud of you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think that hopefully there can be, more people like yourself doing maybe coaching work with, just a concentration on social workers and people in these fields, because working in the field, I think that that is a class or something that is actually really needed, just what you're speaking about, having the ability to, on a one-on-one level, help someone, shift their paradigm a little bit, or the way that they're treating themselves. I wanted to segue a little bit about into your process of like your daily meditation, and I believe it's a no reaction and then later introspection. If you could talk about that and the benefits, and I mean that's just such a great process and something that I hope to really, the no reaction living in New York City is something that I would really love to learn how to do, really get that down.
Okay. Okay. So the we call it the uh, I learned the process of meditation, no reaction, introspection from my spiritual master, my guru, Swami Chiranand Saraswati of Paramatmiketan Ashram. That is what he teaches. So, and then when I attempted to teach that here in Canada, most people couldn't get it. They, as soon as I said meditation, they said, "Oh, I can't meditate. I don't have time to meditate." And there is where I broke down his process to make it easier for us to live in our day to day life. So you're already a meditator, right, Christian? You meditate every morning? Okay. So my process initially, of course, was living this process of meditation every morning. So I did my meditation every morning. Each day it might change a little. It depends on what I feel. It could be just meditation, or it'll be a complete spiritual practice, or it could be reading something. But it was all about connecting to self. And I really started, when I started teaching this, it was, so what does meditation really mean? If I don't have 20 minutes to meditate, does that mean I miss it? And I say no. So when I started teaching it, I said, how much time do you have? And they'd say, oh, I don't even have 5 minutes. I said, well, do you have time for 3 breaths? Can you take 3 deep breaths? You could do it in the shower. You could do it in the toilet. You could do it on the bus. You could do it when you're driving to work. So it doesn't take any extra time. So what I attempted to do was to break down this meditation, no reaction, introspection into manageable pieces. So no matter how busy you are in New York City or anywhere that you are, you can do it. So instead of listening to the radio or listening to something, just connect with yourself, your higher self, and set an intention of what type of energy you want to carry with you during the day, because that is the purpose of meditation, is to change your energy. But if I can't meditate, I'm not going to do that. So let's do it in the mind first. Consciously connect with self, whether that is through breath, whether it is by listening to music, however you can do it. Dancing, you can connect with self. You choose going for a walk, running, but in silence. And as you connect with self, set an intention. What type of energy do I want to carry with me throughout the day? So that's the meditation piece. I broke it down into 2 pieces for them. Then no reaction. Of course, everybody's at, what do you mean no reaction? If somebody's yelling at me, I've got to react. And I said, the only difference between reaction and no reaction is that gap between my thought and my action. I grab that gap and I decide, how do I want to respond to the situation from my truth? So it's not about denying who you are or what you are feeling in the moment. It is about becoming consciously aware. So let's say you're working with someone who is angry with you. Our tendency is to react with anger. But instead, because you did the work in the morning, because you connected with self and had set the intention to bring kindness with you throughout the day, you now respond to the situation wrapped in kindness instead of anger. So now you're responding and not reacting. That's what the no reaction is response. Doesn't say don't do anything. It says respond. No reaction is to respond to the situation. And now the introspection at night is you take 5 minutes and just run through your day, how your day went. And you appreciate all the manifestations of the day. All the good things that happened, that went the way that you expected it to go. Feel good about it. It's the one way that I teach it, slightly different than my Guruji. My Guruji says, release it. Give credit to all those who made it happen. But you know what? Give credit to yourself as well, because you were a partner in all of this. So yeah, stroke yourself on the back. Give your ego some recognition, but don't hang on to it. Let it go. The things that didn't go so well, the time that you responded with anger, okay, or with fear, right? And you backed away, you didn't speak your truth because you were afraid. So many of us do that. We don't speak our truth because we're afraid. Or maybe we don't even know what our truth is. In the introspection, we recognize when we ask the question, so what was it about that situation that caused me to react the way I did? That's the learning. You don't ask a why question, because as soon as you ask a why question, like, why did I why did I react the way I did? You're in the situation, you're wanting to defend it. But when you ask the question, what was it about that situation that caused me to react the way I did? You become a witness, a little removed, and you're watching the situation. I didn't know my truth, so I didn't know how to react. So I reacted out of anger, or out of fear, or out of ignorance, because I didn't know my truth. What is my truth? The answer is not going to come in a moment. But just by asking that question, the truth will show itself. It could be in a TV commercial. It could be from the mouth of babes. It could be that you got the opportunity to speak with someone who said something and said, that's it. It just comes. But the important thing is to ask the question, what was it about that situation that caused me to react? It could be fear. And then so what's that fear about? And then you work with it. It's one of the things that I do in my coaching is I help individuals to discover the fear, the trauma, the shadow that is being held in the body, to discover it, to get to know it, to listen to it, to find out what it needs to heal itself, and then it gets released. So you don't forget the moment, you don't forget the incident, but you're no longer carrying all the emotions around it. It's been released, you know. So, that's in a nutshell how that meditation in the morning, connecting with self, setting the intention, no reaction during the day, paying attention to your intention, and then introspection at night, really appreciating all the manifestations that happened during the day, because each one of them has a message. That's the listening. I'm listening. And there are messages out there for us all the time. What we call coincidences, accidents, right? I just happened to meet someone, as you happened to ask me to come for this podcast. And I was telling a friend last night, and he said, "Hey, I think we should do a podcast." And then this morning, another person invited me to do a podcast. That's something that we were thinking about. I said, "Oh, wow, Christian, what have you started?" you know, it's that listening, how things just be. It's you living consciously. Because when we live unconsciously, we're allowing our unconscious to drive our actions. And it's important to get to know your unconscious. That's the work that we do to heal ourselves. So we get to know our unconscious, but it doesn't have to drive our actions. So many of us have done that repetitive, addictive behavior that we know in our heads we shouldn't do, but we do it anyways. Are you guilty of
Yeah,
that?
for sure.
I am too.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because our unconscious is driving our actions. And then when it happens, we don't pay attention. Okay, so it happened again. I mean, it's that repetitive. But when we do the work and we bring up the unconscious, and only that which we are ready to deal with will surface, we look at it, we learn from it, it heals, gets released, it's no longer driving us. And that's the beauty of doing this work. Meditation, no reaction, introspection, or whether you call it connection, intention, attention, appreciation of all the manifestations. However you put the system, but have a system for yourself. Something that's simple that you can work with within the life that you're living on a day-to-day basis. And it's doable. This system takes 2 minutes or 3 breaths or 20 minutes, whatever time you have in the morning, being conscious, living consciously during the day, you deciding how you respond to everything that happens to you. And then 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or as much time as you have in the evening to do your introspection. And transformation happens. It happens so beautifully that you surprise yourself as to who you are. Other people will say, "What are you doing different? Have you lost weight? There's something different about you." They know something is different and they don't know what it is, but
Mhm.
they can see it in you. That's the impact that you make on the world when you do the work on a daily basis. You heal the world by healing yourself.
Wow, it's so powerful. Yeah, Yeah, that yeah, I think that everyone is going to be looking forward to your podcast. And it's crazy how the synchronicities and things kind of come about. I wanted to ask, so with our shared friend and teacher Rajo at the Thousand Sons Academy, how has the Thousand Sons Academy affected your practice and your coaching along your journey? Might
Mm.
be a loaded question. It's pretty
Well,
a lot of stuff.
well, one thing you've been using the word crazy, and every time you say it's crazy how such and such
Yeah,
happens, I
it's
keep
just
thinking in my mind, it is wonderful how such and such thing happens.
it is wonderful. It is wonderful.
Like I could say, it's crazy that you asked me to do this podcast. And then last night, it's crazy how this gentleman said, we should do a podcast together. And this morning, I could say, it's crazy how this individual asked me to. And I could say, hey, it's wonderful. Christian asked me to do this podcast that I knew nothing about. And then it's wonderful that you see how the energy changes.
It's definitely
So
gonna
there's where
use
I talk.
wonderful. Yeah,
Pay attention to the words, right?
yeah.
And it changes the energy around you. Yeah. So, Raja, oh, wow. Again, another bit about paying attention, really paying attention. I had started on this journey. I knew nothing about Shakti, but Shakti kept coming to me. In 2003, I went to Mount Kailash with my spiritual master, Puja Swamiji. And there in Mount Kailash, in the snow of Mount Kailash, I saw the image of Shiva. And next to Shiva, I saw the image of Shakti. And she wasn't there for very long. She came out of the mountain, out of the snow, smiled, and went back in. That was it. I didn't even know who she was. I knew that she was Shakti, but which form of Shakti? Didn't have a clue. And then that happened in July. And in October of that year, a traveling Swami invited me to be initiated into the Chandi Mantra and the Shri Yantra. And again, I knew nothing about the Chandi Mantra and I knew nothing about the Shri Yantra. And it just so happened that I was able to do this. There was a whole bunch of other things that happened that Shakti again came in and made a difference. And I said, okay, I listened, I went and I did it, not knowing anything about it. I didn't even know that I was already chanting the Chandi mantra in other times when I was asked to do it. I didn't know the name Chandi mantra. People had just asked me to chant this mantra for them to do something and initiations into a mandir. So how has she played in my life even before she came into my life? Consciously, she was there. And then fast forward to 2018, I had spoken to individuals about Shakti, but nobody seemed to give me any information. They didn't have the information to give me because they weren't supposed to. And I had met Stephen, who is the owner, the CEO of, what's the platform that Raja is doing right now? Anyways, I had met Stephen. Shift, right? That's the word I was thinking of. Shift Network. I had met him at the ashram a number of years before, and 2016 actually. And then he sent me this information on the advanced Kundalini course that Raja was offering. And I opened it up, and lo and behold, everything that I was searching for, Raja was providing for me. And I sent an email to Stephen, and I signed up, and that's how I got my first course with Raja. That was 2018. And then 2019, Raja decided to do the Shakti Quest. And it was expensive. And again, I had the time, but I didn't have the money at the time. And I said, I'm going. And I was able to put together the money to go on the Shakti Quest with Raja that changed my life. In the places that he took us, in the prana work we did every morning, and then the Kriya and the mantra we did every day. Just being on the land, a mantra, walking barefooted up the Arunachal mountain, a mantra was revealed to me. So it is a mantra that was given to me by a person, but a mantra being revealed to me that today is now helping me to understand, to trust, to do this work, that I'm doing, that I'm getting the opportunity to do. And I realize that I'm not doing it. It is Shakti working through me to do the work. And that's how important really the work that I've done with 1,000 Suns Academy. That yes, we could be struggling all by ourselves trying to make things happen. But when you come together in satsang, when you come together as a group and you work as a group, individually, things just, manifest, just grow, as well as it grows for everyone else. Christian, you and I, that's where we met, was at 1,000 Suns, right?
Yes.
And how has that impacted you? Just by that one conversation, was it one conversation you and I had? I think that's all it was. It's one conversation. It didn't take a long time, right? When we are vibrating, we're vibrating together. In that togetherness, everyone rises. Everyone can discover the truth of who they are beyond the roles that they play in the world. So many times we ask, who are you? You think of your name, your identity, your gender, all of these things. But who are you beyond the roles you play? Who are you beyond the labels that have been put on you? When we do this work together, we discover who we are. And that's what I'm discovering, who I am beyond the roles I play. This doesn't mean I don't play the role. I continue to play the role. But, when I'm a mother, I'm a mother. When I am a wife, I'm a wife. When I'm a cook, I'm a cook, right? I recognize it as a role. But who's behind all of it? That's that partnership with our higher self. That's when we realize the importance of doing the work for ourselves so that we can make a difference in the world around us. Does that help?
Definitely helps. Definitely helps. She said, "I will be in Sedona."
Oh, you have to be in Sedona. So set your intention. Set your intention. block it off
So
on your calendar.
I
Okay.
will do.
That's the
I
first
will.
thing you do
Yeah.
is you set the intention to be in Sedona and then go to your calendar and block it off and put Sedona, September 19th to 24th, I think. I don't know if those are the exact dates, but get the exact dates. It doesn't matter whether you have the time or you have the money, you set the intention and surrender it all, give it all to Shakti, and let her provide you with the resources that you need to make it happen. And I'll see you in Sedona.
I'll see
It's
you in
already in my
Sedona.
calendar.
Yeah. Be in my calendar right after this. Right after this.
And I'm going to check
The
in on you and make sure that you have it in your calendar.
good. Thank
You
you.
know what? It's powerful. It is about when we are all in that same environment, same place, together, we raise the vibration. And when we raise the vibration for ourselves, we also raise the vibration for the world, you
Mm.
know. So yeah, you will come back yeah, a whole different person.
Wow.
And that's what the Shakti Quest did for me in 2019. And I since we've been doing Sedona, I've been doing Sedona every year. And this year I'll do it again. And more than likely, it does. Again, when you block it off on your calendar, then you book everything else around it,
Mm.
right? Because that's already blocked off.
Mm.
So, like I'm supposed to go to India in the fall. So instead of going in September, I'm going to go in October instead. I speak it into existence.
Mm.
So, get that picture that Raja has of the Sedona retreat,
Mm.
put it up on your vision board or your fridge or place where you can see it,
Mm.
block it off on your calendar. These are the actions that you take
Mm.
to manifest your dreams, manifest your goal, manifest your intention. It's not just setting them intention and not doing anything about it. You got to do something about it. So, using Sedona as an example, get a picture with the dates, put it up in a place that you can see, and block it off on your calendar. So, you wouldn't book anything during that time because that's already spoken for. And you'd be amazed at how all that you need to get to Sedona would happen. It'll just happen. You just ask. There is abundance out there. You just have to say, make it happen. Give me the resources I need to get to Sedona so that I can continue doing the work that needs to be done. See, it's partnership.
Mm.
You do the work for the work to be done. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I we can hopefully have a follow up conversation after that, and our just talk about how the process of that vision board. The final question I had was just wanted you to speak about the importance of dance as you are a chakra dance facilitator, and what is the importance of dance for healing and for the world.
Chakradance is a premium modality that helps us to really connect with ourselves. We dance with our eyes closed to music that is pulsing. And it gives you a freedom to simply move, not think, but to go into the body. And as we go into the body, depending on the music resonates with the different chakras that's within the body. And we heal those chakras one at a time. Whatever needs to be healed gets healed. And we're able to dance and find that freedom. And then once the dance is over, we do a mandala art that I say make the dance tangible. And it holds, the mandala is a mystical circle that holds the healing energy. And it continues to heal us even after the dance. That healing energy is always there. When I do the dance, I put up my mandala art, and as I walk by it, something that I didn't see before would trigger. So I offer this in person here in Winnipeg, as well as when I do retreats. I offer the mandala art, the Chakradance, and sometimes I work on just certain chakras. Like in May, I'll be doing working on the Muladhara chakra, which holds our sense of belonging, our identity, our security, our safety. When you think about what's happening in the world, all the violence that we're seeing in the world right now is because we have lost our sense of security. We no longer have food security or shelter security or water security. We no longer have a sense of belonging. The family unit is breaking down. The community unit is breaking down. So that sense of belonging we no longer have. We no longer feel safe. All of that is being held in our Muladhara chakra. So in last 2 weeks of May and in June, I am going to be doing a four-part workshop in person on the Muladhara chakra to heal that trauma, that stress that we are holding. And then once it's healed and we have the mandala art that goes with it, that healing continues. I heal myself and the world around me heals. And who knows, the following month I might work with the divine feminine at the Swadhisthana chakra. And then later on, the divine masculine. So we'll see where it goes. But Chakradance gives us an opportunity to heal our traumas, our fears, our stresses, so that we can live from our divine self. It's so that you can dance to the rhythm of your soul and not the rhythm of the insecurities out there. So that's in a nutshell about dance. So I use both dance and, coaching to guide individuals to heal themselves and live from their divine self to discover the divinity that they are. Those are some of the things I do. I also do a lot of, I write for